Welcome to a special Sabbath edition rock and roll where we're gonna go on that overtime every time a little bit of it. That rock and roll for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. All my allies and armies pledge your allegiance. Thou art that family. Let's go rock and roll for the truckers, for the true north. Strong and free. Got that Canada, tatted up. Canada, tatted up. Got that maple leaf. So, gonna get that rock and roll for the North American Collective. Although my brothers and sisters in the United States, I was born in previous past lives incarnation 3 times. In the United States, I served in 2 different wars, 156 years apart, 156 years apart. And I know that somebody today on this Saturday is gonna make some of that LOV. Somebody's gonna do that dancing and encourage you all to dance. Exercising. Although today is yours truly a little bit of that rest day, we're gonna go a little bit on that geopolitics. Being an Aspie artist, athlete, philosopher, and mystic, and geopolitics is my kingdom, my arena, and my special interest, and it's 24/7. And I gotta interject that today I'm celebrating. Celebration, 5 years. 5 years since I had COVID. It's been in 2020, between 7th of February and March 2020. End of March 2020, I was struck by COVID and I got 3 vaccines. So, triple vaxxed right here. And please, keep the protocols of the public hygiene. Super important to keep and maintain the protocols of the public hygiene protocols which were implemented during COVID. And I can do also better myself. I'm far from being perfect. Just a piece of dust. Bury me with Papa Crowley. A third of me up in Mount Royal. A third of me up in the city of the pyramids. Yours truly, pledge allegiance. Our family also gotta give a salutation to those who pick up the garbage, the compost, the recycling, those 3 services for the public workers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. Yours truly. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party, rock and roll, my Trinity of theories, the CIT Citizen Integration Theory, the DRT Debt Refusion Theory, and the DRT, the Debt Refusion Theory. Super important where we are today with the public and private financial situation being very critical at the moment in time where I'm speaking. Of course, it is the 29th of March, so celebrating ending the celebration, I guess, Monday, because between February and March 2020, 5 years ago, I was really sick. I had COVID right in this room off some temple right here. I got triple vaxxed in the coming years, and right here I died. Right here, I'm being reborn. I think that I want to go back to rock and rolling for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. And I've been embarked on a fitness journey ever since 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast. That event really made me change my whole dynamics. And before that, I was depressed. I was suicidal. And crossing Canada really transformed my whole life. So crossing Canada coast to coast really made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. And I've been in the open being part of the LGBTQ community, androgynous, pansexual for many years. Rock and roll for my fellow Rainbow Nation, but I'm a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrist. My centrism is tied hand in hand with my Holy Trinity of theories, and for the North American Collective, the collective North American civilizational complex, of which myself as a Quebecer here, loving our French language. We got a rock and roll box for the French, and we love our French language, and I rock and roll in French and English, not just like Celine Dion, but I would love to be in a partnership with Celine Dion because I write and create rock and roll songs on the daily, French and English. So here we are on the position where we are on the Sabbath, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and get a little bit of that rest. And let's get that North American Collective Workers Party this tough times. And I believe my solutions, the Trinity of theories, best at this point in time where we have and where we are now, as I am grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. So those really are super important. Gotta be mindful that civilization is a privilege. And I gotta give a salutation to the Hydro-Quebec workers. We built all the dams in the 20th century for us to have the electricity above our heads. Wait to do this workout training program video now and give a little bit of that rock and roll style dynamics of celebrating my surviving COVID and discussing a little bit of geopolitics. So when you know that, you enter the kingdom of geopolitics. I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has, and I take great pride, super pride in my work as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, especially for the past more than 7+ years, I would say, when I crossed Canada coast to coast In August, September 2017, I crossed coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that event made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And back then, Quebecers are my family, and Canadians my family brothers and sisters in the USA of all. But that event in my life, crossing Canada coast to coast, I had a revelation and illumination. I said, so many things to see, to do. In the true North, strong and free, so many things to do and visit across North American Collective, that I got out of being depressed. I started my workout training program system back in 2019, and I've been on the fitness journey for more than 7 years. Lost between 80 and 93 pounds, and I do say it every day, although today I'm going to get that rest. And I always say, please reduce the cost of the NFL tickets, the NBA tickets, the NHL tickets, the MLB tickets by 44.9%, so that we can afford a little bit of those tickets, give some tickets to the public workers. Please, millionaires, finance a little bit of massage therapy session to the butchers, the public workers to pick up the garbage, the recycling, the compost, that is that LOVE. So I got to get that rolling with the coffee, and got to get my gratitude. Got the Sabbath coffee, I got coffee, my rinse paid. I'm gonna bake later on for dinner, some potatoes, and I got some hazelnut spread. So I'm gonna be able to get that sweet tooth as I love my sweets and wafers. And I'm probably gonna head to the mountain, my second home, tomorrow, because I go to my second home mountain, Mount Royal, Belvedere, Condiranac, and here in the island of Montreal, island of the Hawk. HAWK, Hawk Island. If you look from above the map, it looks like a hawk, and that's my totem bird, the hawk. So I gotta always be mindful, of course, that when I go there, I always do the cleaning after several people. I always let fellow citizens be aware that not to pollute when you go to the mountain. Please pick up the garbage, the compost, the recycling. Don't leave it on the mountain, in the forest, on the mountain, roundabout Belvedere, Condiranac, my second home, and the headquarters of the dancing goddess of the Dragon Kingdom, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership to institutionalize my two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, those legions. Pledge your legions with the dancing goddess army, with that DGA for the North American Imperial Coliseum to be built, and to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. The Forgotten Goddess Temple is something that I will to construct and build, and I credit trillions of kisses, because kisses I got by the trillions from the Forgotten Goddess. I got those trillions of kisses, anybody willingly loving to get, and help yours truly come this piece of dust that I am. Although I am a piece of dust, who's also a philosopher, a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and who's got to drink some coffee and blow the nose before I proceed with this rock and roll style dynamics of the dictums and the philosophy, which I'm gonna of course call all willingly loving, to pledge allegiance. Let me see. And that's all I gotta get doing. Oh yeah, I found a limit. Just gonna blow my nose. Just gonna blow my nose a little bit. That's what I gotta get doing with that. And still a Dragon versus Trump special edition. If you don't know, you will know that I have been and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border ever since Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back in October 2018, so it's been 7 years, and my anonymous friend, who was my friend because of the money back then, about more than 6 years ago, gifted me those red gloves. I put them to good use. I did a lot of boxing, because you can see hundreds of my workout training program system boxing, and hundreds of my workout training program system boxing with it. Well, of course, I have been challenging and am challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. And my brothers and sisters, ain't no way to invite us, my brothers and sisters in the USA. And I'm far from being a Trump supporter, but bullying and tariffs is not the way. If you're going to extend the invitation to these fellow Canadians and many fellow Canadians to join as the 51st state, I don't know about that 51st state. I believe my way to fuse in a public-private partnership for the North American-centric collective workers, best for the North American collective civilizational complex of which we are here in the New World, and all people who come throughout the centuries and the decades and the years and even today in the New World, being a new collective civilizational complex. We have our own dynamics and our own geographical realities, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We gotta get that LOV, and no way with tariffs should I get a big deal if to invite. You know, if I would have been president of the United States and I was born in the United States post 7076 3 times, once was born as a woman, twice as a man, and of course I gotta get twice as a man, and that's what it is with that. And that's what I served in the United States Armed Forces 2 times, twice in the same United States Armed Forces, 256 years apart. And Here I am, financially stressed, financially stressed, financially stressed, but I got trillions of kisses, trillions of kisses, trillions of kisses to get it on the go for now, to get it on the go. And for all pledge your allegiance, legions to our family, everybody who wants kisses. I got kisses created from the goddess, and I created my surviving COVID to the GODDSS, forgotten goddess, because got trillions of names, millions of names. The goddess, even the goddess is present in the Bible, although, it was trying to push a little bit underneath. Those pyramids still remain, temples and tombs where the goddess is present right here. Now the goddess is present, dances with the sun, and she calls me calls me names, and I say yes, and I say yes, no problem, gotcha, no problem. Push-ups and squats and hawks and a little bit of that dancing with it, but nonetheless, back to what I was saying, the dictums that it's no way to invite Canadians. If I would have been president, I would have said, Canadians, well, Canadians, join us, fuse with us, get a little bit of some states. Let's add some states and let's get that public health care for all, including their brothers and sisters in the United States. And let's rebuild the North American inner urban cities, the ghettos. Let's rebuild together the ghettos of North America, of Canada, United States, and mass invest in only security, service, and defense, security, service, and defense, security, service, and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Although financially stressed, got those kisses, got my Trinity theories, and my dancing goddess and dragon kingdom is fundamentally for the North American collective. My brothers and sisters, I say if I would have been president, ain't no way down, I would have invited fellow Canadians by such means of imposing tariffs. Say do some marching bands, start doing a little party, throw the biggest party. As I said, if you join us, let's join somehow, fuse somehow, further integrate security, service, and defense, security, service, and defense, unless I'm gonna throw the biggest party ever. I'm gonna finance a little bit biggest party ever, and let's bake some pies, apple pies, cherry pies, bacon pies, shrimp pie, orange pies, all sorts of pie, baking. Baking pies, making pies across the 50 states. That would have been the way to go about it with a little bit more wisdom, understanding, and keenness. And it's not all about the money. I don't have money. I don't have money. I don't have money. I pay my rent, pay my electricity bill. I've been depressed, I've been suicidal, and we gotta get that PPP. We gotta get a public-private partnership. And my call to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, that's my will. Everybody willingly loving the construction workers to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. The GODDS says the Goddess Temple to build it right here on the Canadian-US border parallel to the North American Imperial People's Coliseum. The bigger structure to be bigger than 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. The Superdome in New Orleans, which was built, of course, back in the 20th century, and which changed names a few times, just like I've been changing my name during COVID when I died. And the motto of the Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance, is nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. Nobody is born a dragon, not even myself. It took blood, sweat, and tears, scars, and hundreds and thousands of marching steps. Already marched this yesterday more than the generals of NATO combined. Check my workout training program. I go to the mountain marching. Gotta get those toes. And then during COVID, and tens of thousands of push-ups, hog squats, which yours truly has put to get going on the mountain and getting to get on that go. So it's something which I have to keep in mind. The motto of the Dragon Army is nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. And this flag got a red dragon on it with black and yellow on it. I got it on special. I haggled a little bit. I haggled a little bit. So I got a little bit of that to be prime negotiator with Donald Trump. Be prime Canadian Donald Trump, negotiator with Donald Trump on the Canadian-US border. We're going to negotiate while boxing and start building the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, a big mega structure for sports in perpetuities, 24/7 sports in perpetuities, to be for sports and fitness 24/7 to have sports events on the Canadian-US border, to be 11 times. The number after 10 before 12 is 11 times bigger than the Superdome. The Caesar Superdome, where one of my favorite Super Bowls was played, where my 49ers lost by only 3 points against the Ravens back about 11 years or so. Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, or Hardball Ball, or Bro Bowl, or Super Bowl, Super Bro Bowl, aka Hardball Bowl, when my 49ers lost. And that was one of my top five Super Bowls. And I love that gridiron, but dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport, to dance. Some people love basketball. I love basketball. I love hockey. I love gridiron. I love boxing. I love civilization. I love all sports and fitness activities, but dancing is my number one. I just dance. With dancing, I can dance for hours. Rainbow Dragon, you get that tweet, one androgynous pansexual. Rainbow Dragon, pro-labor, revolutionary, democratic, republican, centrist, is of course also priestess of the GODDSS. Please give some charity, millionaires, don't be so selfish. I wish I would have had 44 million. billion actually when Donald Trump got elected on the 6th of November, and I would have went hoodie-dirty on and hoodie and gave across North American complex to black, white, and veterans and all. I would have given 50,000, 50,000, 50,000 out of 10% of 44 billion, which is 4.4 billion equivalent, and I would have again distributed to people to give their second chances. I would have said, this is 50,000. You're homeless, you're here in this position, this is your second chance, this is my redemption, this is your second chance, this is my redemption, this is your second chance, this is my redemption. And I want to give redemption because we all deserve second chances and redemption, and we got to get that coast to coast. We got to fuse. We got to create the Dragon Army, a public-private partnership institution, and mobilize 1% of the Canadian population only to be for security service and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. The Dragon Army to be only for security service and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Canada, United States fused. New 911 protocols for security service and defense. And my brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians, with love, you can't say nothing about yours truly got that Canada tatted up. I got that Canada tatted up. Got that Canada tatted up. Don't ask me when I got it, probably 20 plus years ago, more 22 years ago, because it's 2025 March, and marching victory for yours truly, surviving COVID, celebrating today my surviving COVID in 2025 years ago, already died right here in this room of September. But nonetheless, God, of course, that tatted up. So with that tattoo on it, we got to get that disposition to get it on the love side. And of course, you got to add some love to true north, strong and free, because strength and freedom is not enough. I got freedom on the other side. Canada on one side, freedom on the other side. Canada on one side, freedom on the other side. But freedom is not enough. Freedom got to be assured and secured. Many of us, or very few of us, are really worthy to fight in the cause of freedom, Freedom is a new thing under the sun, Mr. Solomon. Freedom is a new thing under the sun, Mr. Solomon. Freedom is a new thing under the sun, Mr. Solomon. Freedom is new. Freedom is new. So freedom is something so new and even fragile, to us to secure and ensure it with myself as an individual with peculiar situations of weirdness and extremely weird due to my Asperger's. It's a condition which I live with, and I'm part of this tiny minority of less than 1%, less than half of a percentile, less than 44%, who have this neurological mental condition, which makes that our brains are different. So certain things like situational awareness in the society or societal norms and ways of communication are very different, and it can be very difficult in certain situations for ASPEs to always build bridges. We always have to build bridges with the fellow neurotypical community, because we're often misunderstood and mislabeled as being mentally ill, which is not a mental illness. Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition, makes us predisposed to special interest, a routine, and I have a routine for years and years and years. It's fitness, sports, and geopolitics and rock and roll. Fitness, sports, and rock and roll, and geopolitics, to the point that I am an independent geopolitical theoretical honest theorist who has predicted the current situation back in 2019. As much as I have imperfections, scars, and survived COVID and am financially stressed, in 2019, in October, November, I have proof of work because I have videos online. I have predicted that humanity is set again to go towards an international conflagration, aka World War III, back in October 2019. That's what I predicted, and consequently, in consequence parallel, I created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with such a scenario, such a situation. And of course, I have proof of work. I have proof of work because I have my documentation and hundreds of pages written and hundreds of videos related to that, as I'm here changing my name. Can't afford to pay the changing of the name, but in my heart, Dragon became Dragon, and Adrian Hunter Dragon, keep my holy sacred name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. And we got to pledge you allegiance if you want some kisses. We got to get that coast to coast, ocean to ocean, create the two complementary covenant of cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, was the first to build it. I will to build 4 buildings. And hold on, I got to get a little bit of that drippy nose. Nose is drippy. Nose is dripping, sun shining, nose dripping. Gotta get that rock and roll. For the truckers on the road, for the bakers, for the butchers, for the nurses. Gotta send some LOV to the nurses, to the firefighters of the North American Collectif, to those train conductors, to the butchers, to the bakers, to those in the healthcare system, to those preparing some sandwiches, making some of that food, which I'm gonna cook later on. Thank you for the potatoes. I got a bag and a half of a bag. I got two. One bag has half, the other one has half. So It's like 2 bags, but half. One I got by donation, thank you, and one I got by buying it myself on special. So it's from the farmers that food security starts, and I love the construction workers. Please help support build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, help support build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Sports Dome, Superdome, Caesars, Superdome, Superdome in New Orleans, where one of my favorite Super Bowls, aka Hardball Ball, aka the Blackout Ball, was of course played back then in 2013, February 2013, so if I try to go back, my memory, personal memory before that, kind of get that blackouts. I have kind of symptoms of retrograde amnesia, memory loss, and maybe COVID, or I was attacked by surprise a few years ago, whatever the case may be, and live with the scars. And I don't know, I just, sometimes it comes back though, it just flashes. I remember mostly past 7, 8, 9 years, moving from a very moldy place, very moldy, black mold, white mold, reddish mold, and was here depressed, suicidal. I traversed Canada 2017, and I got the tickets, I got the tickets to prove it. I got the tickets, and gotta auction those tickets. There's 4 of them because I went with an anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, and gonna give it for $1 million each ticket. $1 million, so that's 4 tickets, 4 times $1 million. Gonna sell those, auction those tickets, gonna give 50% to my anonymous sister, because that anonymous friend is well, I gotta get half, 50% to my anonymous friend by auctioning those tickets. 2017, in August, went to Vancouver, British Columbia, 3.5 days by bus. 3.5 days by bus, that was quite something else. 3.5 days from Montreal to Hawaii, quite an experience. I remember it as it was yesterday, one of the best experiences. It got me out of depression, and I gotta blow out my nose again. It got me out of depression. I was depressed, suicidal right here, and crossing Canada, it made me have a revelation. How many things to see, to do, and that's what we gotta get doing. So I recommend, and I started right after that, I started writing a document, because I've written on USB key several documents pertaining to mostly geopolitics, but also initiatives for philosophies, mainly and foremost for the North American Collective, for North America centric, because I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North America, but some security matters for NORAD, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member states. But this one is pertaining to it has like a fancy title, they're in my head pretty much, and I discuss them online, put the ideas online, so blah blah blah. If anybody want to work with yours truly, I'm just about work, friends with benefits only from now on, and friends with benefits only from now on, friends with benefits only, pledge your allegiance to our family. That's the rock and roll song. Pledge your allegiance to our family, pledge your allegiance to our family. And we gotta get financing of mass tourism finance, financing mass tourist activity. And I written a document, theoretical paper, of course, theoretical paper, which of course has the dictums of the North American Initiative for the public-private financing of citizens to go for tourism for general overall wellness. So basically, the paper called for the financing via public-private partnership of citizens to go visit other countries. For example, Canada, but it was mostly Canada, United States. So from the 50 states to come to Canada, and from Canada to go see the 50 states. So see, there's an idea how to get rid of the tariffs, stop the tariffs, Donald Trump. Stop the tariffs, and say, hey, I made a mistake. So many mistakes I did. I made a mistake. Fellow Canadians, I love Canadians. I'm going to invite you by mass financing Canadians to come visit the 50 states. Open the hotels, the motels. I'm going to finance with 44 billion. I'm going to finance for Canadians in the coming septennium, 7 years or 4 years or 3.5 years, or for the next year, or for the summer of love, North America. I'm gonna finance Canadians to come visit, and to go transverse on the side with that, to come transverse on the side, and go vice versa. Public-private partnership for citizens of United States to come visit Canada coast to coast, and Canadians to go visit the 50 states where I was born in the past life, post 76 3 times. Just read that George Patton, Through a Glass Darkly. One of my favorite poems is George Patton discussing reincarnation, and as I was born reincarnated in past previous lives. That's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get on to doing with the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing for the love, because I know somebody's making love and hugging, and doing that good dancing, like just like I love yours truly dancing. And that's an idea for the consequential situation where we are now in a tough economic geopolitical geopolitical space, and I have predicted what's happening now back in 2019 in a general manner. I predicted an international conflagration on the horizon, and of course it's been unfolding parallel to my geopolitical analysis and scenario back on, which predates COVID in 2019 October November, and then I had COVID, and now I gotta blow my nose again. I gotta blow my nose again. So that's what it is with that, and that's what I gotta consequently, of course, be advising and encouraging fellow citizens to work out, train, exercise. I cannot stress enough the importance of regular physical exercise, 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 and we need to mass finance it via public-private partnership. My dream, fundamentally, the call for the public-private partnership is fundamentally my dream. The Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex across North America, and that's what we're going to do. And as we're going to fuse in a different manner, create a common currency, create a common passport, and we need to get that healthier public-private partnership, because certain public-private partnerships are, of course, necessary for the 21st century where we are now, with this current economic financial situation of both the public and the private. Canada, US being fundamentally very similar. Myself financially stressed, but rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got trillions of marching steps, dancing, and got that boxing and that LOV for the Dragon versus Trump. And calling on the construction workers, gotta credit them some feet washing, kissing, massages to build on the Canadian-US border, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times greater than the Superdome where the football game known as the Blackout Ball was played, and the dancing goddess, bless. That's my friend sneezing. Goddess bless. So I want to build the forgotten goddess temple, and I have my geopolitical skills, my artistic skills, athletic dancing skills, and rock and roll, and a little bit of spirituality mystic with more questions than answers. But I gotta goddess bless, GODDSS bless, because I credit me surviving COVID. All what I survived, I'm gonna credit to the goddess, and I will to build the forgotten goddess temple, the GODDSS temple, forgotten goddess temple. That's what I will to build with that, the forgotten goddess temple on the Canadian-US border. So that's what we need to do, the forgotten goddess temple. The forgotten goddess temple. As I've been dying during COVID, and I'm being reborn, the thing that I will to go back to, and I have hope for tomorrow. My hope comes when I go on my marching to the mountain, Mount Royal, when I see people doing acts of kindness, hugging with consent, hug like you never hugged before, and of course when I see young love. I'm gonna blow my nose again. When I see young love, the youth, happy, joyous, that also brings me some joy. I'm pretty happy, content in the past years, I guess I would say I've been through my own hell and back, rock bottom, and depressed, suicidal, and fitness journey started in 2017, lost between 80 and 93 pounds, and that's what I get going with that, and that's what we're gonna get on the go with that to get it for now, for where we are in this present day and moment on this 29th of March. We also gotta address something situational awareness that, of course, we're in a tough economic financial position. Most, not all, of course, of the public and the private financial circumstances for many are, of course, in a very precarious situation. And I bring to the attention my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, which fundamentally I'm calling for its implementation. And my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, also includes monetary integration theory to create a new North American centric currency, the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, and of course to take all public and private debt and that money to be refused, and convert the Canadian public-private debt to US dollars, add it up, and make a new currency and a new money circulation, by which money we're going to be able to mass finance the rebuilding of the infrastructure, the financing of citizens to work out, train, exercise, and we're going to be able to mass finance citizens' fitness to build 44 tunnels, construct, build 44 tunnels, in case of a thermonuclear war inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and of course the underground tunnels of the Montreal complex. We have underground. They're tunnel-like, they're like tunnels, but it's a village. It's an underground village in Montreal built in the 60s and 70s started, and it's quite a feature of engineering, so gotta send some love to those engineering. So we're gonna build with me the Forgotten Goddess Temple and the Imperial People's Coliseum, the sports arena, and of course not only that, but we're gonna build, of course, another one. Who's gonna build with yours truly, the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow neurodivergent and LGBTQ community, and the House of the Dragon, the pyramid, scarlet, crimson, our shades of red, red, my favorite color, that's what I said, pledge your allegiance, our family, Rainbow Dragon, aka Priestess of the Goddess, androgynous, pansexual, aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, credit, and trillions of kisses for the Forgotten Goddess Temple to be, of course, built here, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on to do with that, and gonna build on the Canadian-US border and fuse together for defense, security, and service, create the North American Security and Defense Force, the North American Legion, aka Dragon Army, North American United Legion, and here the true North strong and free. It's not enough. You gotta add some love and a little bit of justice with it, eh? And my brothers and sisters in the true North strong and free, us north, and my brothers and sisters are south. In the south, it's of course the home of the brave and the land of the free, the home of the brave and the land of the free, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, We gotta get a little bit of that loving with it, and that's what we gotta get doing on that love, birds, and that's what we gotta get doing for some love, because I know somebody making that LOVE, And love is also important. It's not all about the money. Second chances and redemptions, and we gotta rebuild together the North American Imperial People's Coliseum. Gonna rebuild the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and we're gonna rebuild the ghettos, and I gotta ghettos of North America. We gotta rebuild those, and Criminal Rehabilitation Act, Canada, United States. We're gonna give our brothers and sisters who are being incarcerated and their second chance of rehabilitation to put some work to construct those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing on the go with the LOV side of things, and we gotta put love in action, and of course we gotta create a common currency, and of course asking all my fellow citizens and more high up there, citizen, brother Scorpio Bill Gates, LOV to brother Scorpio Bill Gates in a parallel life. I'm also a super aspie scientist, philosopher, general theoretical analyst, and I do physics and supercomputers, microchips, ICBM rockets, and everything to do with science and technology and coding in a parallel life. And sometimes during the Sabbath, I connect with my parallel self, and I get headaches because it's math, science, telecommunication, and Isaac Newton, Tesla, and Bill Gates type of aspie brain. And in this life right here, this aspie has its geopolitics. I'm an independent geopolitic theoretical analyst and theorist, has predicted what's happening now back in 2019. So consequently, I also have some of the solutions down all, especially the DRT, the net refusion for the creation of the U. I gotta blow my nose again. Hold on. Well, the sun is out. Gotta get some natural sunlight. Sun is out, my king the Pope. Oh yeah, I gotta blow that nose, and of course I gotta look for more. Oh, let me see. Yes. Victory. Now I got more. Yes. And I have to split it in three, Tough economic times. We got a World War III type of situation, brothers and sisters. And that's for the next round of blowing the nose, And for health, for building the forgotten goddess temple, which I will to build, to implement the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, for the creation of a universal exchange unit. That's what we gotta get doing with that. And that's what we gotta get doing on the transversal side of things. And we also gotta get some love in, because it's not all about the money. It's not all about the money. Money is to buy, sell, and implementing my debt refusion theory, which is a must, because we are on the verge of a potential financial collapse. It can start as soon as Monday, as soon as 1st of April, but March has 31 days, so Monday is 31st of March, and the 1st of April is Monday, so it's on the 2nd of April. 2nd of April, 2nd of April, 2nd of April, 2nd of April. So that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that. And it's on the 2nd of April, so being that it's on the 2nd of April, that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go. So basically there's a possibility of a public financial collapse due to the black swan event, what's called in the world of financing a black swan event, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go. So basically we paid last year on the fiscal year 24, 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion equates to 1 billion having 9 zeros. That's 46,000 million. Just the interest on the Canadian public debt. So yes, due to COVID, the interest rates have more than doubled. Because in 2020, 2021, the number was 20.3 double is 40.6. So if you equate mathematical principles and do the calculations, that means that the debt has the interest, only the interest to be specific, has more than doubled on the Canadian public debt. So consequently, there's no financial solution to what we have now, where we are now at this point in time today and for tomorrow, but my DRT theory or something which resembles fundamentally my debt refusion theory, which is a paradox that I put on the table along with those trillions of kisses, 718 trillions of kisses created from the forgotten goddess, that GODDSS. The DRT theory comes from fundamentally me having Asperger's, and being that my special interest is geopolitics, also known as obsessive interest, but I don't utilize the terminology obsessive because an obsession has a more negative connotation and feel to the words. So we best to use special interest, and mine is geopolitics, sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll, that's my holy trinity. And on the daily I spend hours and hours and hours on the daily involved in fitness activity, mainly dancing and marching dancing, and geopolitics 24/7, and rock and roll. So that's why I do as a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist independent, again, who has predicted what's happening now and who presents on the table the debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory is a fundamental to our well-being, that it has to be implemented because there's no other solution to what's unfolding now across the North American civilizational collective and beyond. Canada and the United States, similar financial parallels are to be made in the situation with both the public and the private financial situation for both Canadians and Americans. My brothers and sisters in the USA is fundamentally on the same principle. Myself included have $10,000 $10,000 in debt to the RBC. My interest rate is 10.44. So the DRT, my debt refusion theory, which integrates in it the monetary integration theory, is fundamentally the only solution. There's no other solution, but there could be, but it has to resemble my solution. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt. We're going to refuse it, convert all the Canadian public private debt to US dollars, and that's what we're going to add it with the United States, and we're going to create a new currency called the UE, Universal Exchange Unit, and set an interest rate level of 10%. 10% maximum after the financial principle, and after we implement the debt refusion theory, we're going to equate and set an interest rate of 10% maximum. It's not going to be able to be more than 10% on all loans. It's going to be a new financial situation for the 21st century. We're going to take all the public and the private debt. We're going to create the universal exchange rate, a new central bank, where it's the money in circulation is going to be all the public and the private debt. So that is the DRT, explained in a more general manner. The debt refusion theory, DRT, which of course integrates monetary integration theory, and of course which integrates monetary integration theory, which we have to implement across the North American collective civilizational complex. And with that money and that implementing the DRT, we're going to be able to do lots of good, especially rebuilding the infrastructure, mass finance, citizens fitness. Try to do my workout for created a few UEs, mass finance, the fitness, and mass finance tourism, and mass finance, of course, so many things which we're going to rebuild, create the two fundamentally covenant cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, and of course parallel to the Forgotten Goddess Temple, and that's what it is with the Forgotten Goddess Temple, to be an imperial coliseum next to it, to be for the complementary covenant and cooperative two institutions which are going to be fundamentally public-private partnership based, the Dragon Army. Pledge your allegiance to our family for the 21st century, only for security, service, and defense. Complementary to the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, to be for cleaning the environmental cleaning and dancing, and to plant trees, to clean the oceans, clean the mountains, because we got a lot of environmental work to do. So it's going to be this fusion, public-private partnership. We're going to get rid of the border. It's best if we get rid of the border, fundamentally from a geopolitical perspective and security analysis from the world of geopolitics today. It's best if we focus defense, security, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, defense, security, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, defense, security, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that's what we're gonna do. Focus on the coast to coast, ocean to ocean. It's best if we get rid of the border and focus on the airports and the ports, and the airports and the ports, the airports and the ports, the airports and the ports. That is the best way to focus on the ports and the airports, and of course implement my total mobile defense theory system, the total mobile TMD, total mobile defense theory system, which I cannot overly elaborate because I'm putting on the public sphere, the internet, so I cannot go too much in depth. It is my theory, which I worked ever since I crossed Canada coast to coast as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and my past collaboration with CSIS, Canadian Security Intelligence Service, back my collaboration in the past years, on matters of national security. I cannot overly be indulgent in discussing the total mobile defense theory because it has to be with the top level generals and ministers of defense, why we create the complementary covenant, the cooperative institutions of the Dragon Army public-private partnership, and best to focus security on the coast, ports and the airports, the border, financing in the border, investing security in the border, personnel and resources. It's actually counterproductive. It's counterproductive where we are now with the geopolitical reality, strictly from a geopolitical reality, devoid of any kind of partisanship or fundamental partisanship from a merely geopolitical perspective. As Quebecers, Canadians, although I would love to give a few to Donald Trump, Dragon versus Trump since 2018 on the Canadian-US border. Let's go, me and you, Donald Trump, boxing and discussing and building the North American People's Coliseum, and gonna rock and roll with that. And best if we fuse in a manner of the North American civilizational complex and via my trinity of theories, which I've of course aforementioned, the DRT, natural fusion theory, and the DFT, democratic fusion theory, and fundamentally for the public-private partnership, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and the DGA to be created parallel to the Dancing Goddess Army with the Dragon Army, the North American Legion, and I don't know about that 51st state. I'm far from being a Trump supporter, and I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match, but if I would have been president, I would have been a different manner of course, inviting fellow Canadians with some feasting, with some marching bands dance, and like the NFL cheerleader, come join us. Will you come join us with some love and some good incentives, not with bullying and tariffs, It's not the way. And of course, we're gonna get for the North American collective. We need to fuse, and fundamentally, my brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians, I got much love, and if there's ever an invasion, we're gonna count on yours truly, but only for defense. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, for the North American collective, and my brothers and sisters, if they in the USA, because I was there, I served in 2 different wars in the same U.S. Army. Just read George Patton's Through a Glass Darkly, where one of my favorite poems, and Papa Crowley, Aleister Crowley's poetry is #1 for me, but his top 5 of my favorite poets, words, one of my favorite poems, top 5 or top 10, maybe top 5, Through a Glass Darkly. George Patton was a U.S. general, and he believed in reincarnation, and one of the poems is Through a Glass Darkly, where he discusses reincarnations. But my belief in reincarnations is also 100%, although sometimes I was born a woman, a man, a woman, a priestess, ancient Egypt, from the goddess and a priestess, a man, a woman, a man, a priestess. Now you get yours truly, androgynous 50-50, rock and roll, pro-labor, democratic, republican centrism, public-private partnership fundamentally. As a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted the current situation, I advise that it's best where the alliances which are forming, of course, in the outside of the North American civilizational complex, outside of North America, it's best the more integration with the United States. And our primary political, geopolitical concern as Quebecers, Canadians, is to have the best relations with my brothers and sisters in the USA. I know it's not the way. I give 25 to Donald Trump, no problem. But yours truly, we gotta finish the tariffs. We gotta find a solution. We gotta get that love. We gotta get public-private partnership. Build those new structures for sports and to channel the aggression. And we gotta implement the DRT. And we gotta rebuild the infrastructure. By my DRT team, we're gonna be able to mass rebuild the bridges, the aqueducts, mass financing, rebuilding of the bridges and the aqueducts, mass financing, rebuilding of the bridges and the aqueducts of the North American civilizational complex, and the ghettos. The ghettos need billions, which are gonna finance by my DRT theory to be put with some color and some joy with it. So now I gotta blow my nose again. I'm gonna light some incense. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna discuss the forgotten goddess of the Bible. Something in my eye. That's what we're gonna do, and that's what we're gonna be rebuilding the North American Imperial People's Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, and that's what we're gonna get doing with the building of the Coliseum and the Forgotten Goddess Temple. And now, of course, I want to go a little bit on that mystic side, and again, pledge your allegiance to our family, and encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. Working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. And got food, got some cans, got a little bit of food. I guess if I stretch it out, it could last me for maximum 44 days, but I gotta stretch it on it. So farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, firefighters, LOV, those in the warehouses putting out those going up, and on the cranes, the construction workers, please help support build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the Coliseum, which is going to be 11 times bigger than the Superdome, and in New Orleans, the Caesar Superdome where the Hardball Ball was played, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple, a mass structure for the goddess Geopolitiks, and of course, which I'm now going to discuss. And again, grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, food's paid, and pledge your allegiance to our family, and a little bit on that mystic side, the goddess, forgotten goddess, of which I will to build the temple of the Bible. Goddess in the Bible. What are you discussing? What are you talking about? You say God to the table, on my spiritual table, there has to be a goddess. Geopolitiks. I have to say the word goddess. Goddess Canada, United States, GODDSS. I can be pretty secular, pretty secular, pretty secular. So many things I don't know. The pyramids are tombs of initiation and temples. The pyramids are temples, actually. The pyramids are temples. Built 4,500 years ago, more than 4,500 years ago. And the mystery, we have all this technology, satellites, which I built in a parallel life, supercomputers, Google, YouTube, internet, but we do not know how the pyramids were built. Isn't that a paradox? And I always joke and say, well, you know why men can't figure out how the pyramids were built? Because they were built by women. You know why men can't figure out how the pyramids were built? Because they were built by women. You know why men can't figure out how the pyramids were built? I always joke, because they were built by women. They were built by women. Oh, we don't know. It's possible, eh? Because we had priestesses of which I am Rainbow Dragon, a priestess and a goddess, and goddess calls me all sorts of names, piece of dust and useless, and I say yes, mistress, absolutely 100%, and cuckold and no problem, can do, for joy, not a problem, consent, and for loving me, black, white, and rainbow, men, women, black, white, rainbow, you gotta be 18 plus though. I'm gonna card you like in a club, come loving, otherwise I sing some rock and roll and that's it, gonna come loving, I'm gonna say to get carded like you buying cigarettes. I don't smoke myself, but cannabis is legal cannabis, or booze, or whatever, liquor, or in a club to go, you're gonna get carded. So you're gonna get carded if you want to go LOV with Adrian Hana Dragon, but you make LOV for me, that's good. So the forgotten goddess, GODDSS of the Bible of many names. You take the mysteries of the Bible. Mysteries of the Bible. Mysteries of the Bible. So we go to the Bible and we go to, let's say, Moses. What we know from the story is that he grew up in the Pharaoh's household and got taken in by the Pharaoh's daughter. Now the Pharaoh's daughter had to worship in the spirituality also, with secret rites and dancing and blessings and chants, which were goddess centric, right? There's no way around that. That's yes. And then if we go back before Moses, we go back to, let's say, Jacob, who became Israel. But this story, mythological story of Jacob and Israel and the twins, was twins, Jacob and Esau, Edom, right? The stories, we see a paradox that when Israel died, that Israel was embalmed. It's written there in Genesis 50. Now the procedures of this spiritual embalmment, and it says there in Genesis chapter 50 that the Egyptians mourned for him for 70 days, and the embalmment took 40 days for the embalmment of Jacob, who became Israel. But the questions are that this procedure was a highly ritualized, highly spiritual, ancient Egyptian religion based procedure. Maybe, who are you, a descendant of the mighty one of Israel, mighty one of Jacob, 3,500 years ago? Who knows? Maybe you are, maybe you're not. And then you go back. I'm gonna go back to Moses and the 42 journeys of the Israelites. It's 42 journeys, where are goddess centric. Goddess. where the goddess of justice weighed the heart, weighed the heart, weighed the heart. Are you one of those ancient Israelites from 3,500 years ago? Some claim they are, some claim they might be, maybe. Did you transgress the 42 transgressions? Is Jacob's, Israel's twin, whipping, whipped from heaven because of that? I don't know. Maybe. 50-50, I guess. Maybe, maybe not. Are you from ancient Egypt? I'm not. I'm reincarnated, but I'm from Quebec, Canada. I'm mystic, and trying to answer some questions of which I don't have the fully. I know my Pope is the sun, and I will to build the forgotten goddess temple in a non-sectarian manner, non-sectarian for the environment, for justice, and in a non-sectarian, my table is also the goddess-centric, and mysteries I don't know. I'm not gonna go into a very deep, profound revelation of Da Vinci type of revelations because I truly don't know. I have questions, and when I say goddesses' names, she calls me cuckold. So I say, yeah, not a problem. I'm a cuck, C-U-C-K. So I don't know. Are you the descendant of the Israel who lived 3,500 years ago? The paradox is that none can prove that. None can prove that because the mother's lineage going to the ancient pyramids is a speculative affair. Maybe the soul reincarnated is possible. But then we come back to the 42 again, which my Papa Crowley, Aleister Crowley, and revealed some revelations on it. The point is that the goddess was in the Bible. And we go back to Solomon, King Shlomo HaMelech Solomon, and many discuss King Solomon, but they miss a key point. When Solomon is mentioned to have built the house and the temple, he married the Pharaoh's daughter. He says Shlomo, 1 Kings 3, Beth Pharaoh, the Pharaoh's daughter. King Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter. The problem is that the pharaohs of that time would have not given their daughters in marriage unless they were part of the same religion, the same spiritual beliefs, and even ethnic wise, to the point of degree the genetics, the ethnic composition, right? Because they were bastard, right? So that's a paradox. Solomon marrying Pharaoh's daughter, but supposedly 500 years before Solomon, the ancient Israelites left out of bondage. And there's a problem with the translation because the word aved is not necessarily slave. It's also servant. So we go back again to Joseph. It says Joseph married Asenat, Potiphar's daughter. Now this word in it, the name, it's ancient Egyptian. It relates to a goddess, to the name of the goddess. There were complexities, but it was also the supreme goddess, Geopolitiks, of many names, which are said that she gave birth to the sun. So if the goddess gave birth to the sun, I'm just a nobody. I'm just a piece of dust because the sun, rises and sets. And I guess Moses didn't destroy all of ancient Egypt's gods. I guess he left the sun. He left the sun along the way. So the goddess is also in the New Testament. There's a mention of Mary Magdalene. Was Mary Magdalene a priestess? Priestess. It's possible. Was Mary Magdalene a priestess? Yes. Was a goddess named in the Bible? Yes. Artemis. The goddess. But of course the goddess, from our spiritual vocabulary, has been God-centric. God bless. Not a problem. I'm going to respond goddess, Geopolitiks, bless with it. Goddess bless. Is it so hard to say goddess? G-O-D-D-S-S? For me, no. Whenever I say goddess says, hey, piece of dust. What you want from me, piece of dust? I said, oh well. I just wanna see love and be loved. And she says, L-O-V-E, L-O-V-E. And back again to the Bible. Miriam's, Moses' sister, is called prophetess. Prophetess. Now this name prophetess, when in relation to the dance, is also a goddess ritual. It's a goddess ritual. It's a goddess ritual. Miriam's dance is a goddess-centric ritual. Moses' sister, when it's mentioned in Exodus 18, that she performed a dance, that is a goddess-centric ritual. A G-O-D-D-S-S, a goddess-centric ritual. It's goddess-centric. G-O-D-D-S-S, it's goddess-centric. So as I will today in this 2025 to build the forgotten goddess temple, I'm willing to dance, kiss, and wash feet, massages, whatever, to build this temple. Forgotten goddess temple in North America, on the Canadian-US border, or wherever, Montreal, and to be let's make it as big as the NFL stadiums, and let's make it as big as the NFL. I think the forgotten goddess deserves a temple, a big temple, no? To have the forgotten goddess temple written. No, don't you think so? I think so. I'm willing to put in some work. Financially stressed, $10,000, but that's what I will to build. First and foremost, forgotten goddess temple and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, and that's what we're gonna get building with that, So the goddess exists in the Bible. Now many names, many incantations and stars above, but the goddess exists whether you want it to exist or not. The goddess is, was and will be. The goddess is, was and will be. The goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S, is, was and will be, regardless of my scars, me surviving COVID, me being financially stressed, me having all the scars and whatever the case may be, living here in financial stress and having survived COVID and being reborn here right in the Santo Gran Ramasan temple, to get it on the go with that. And that's what I will to build, the forgotten goddess temple. And that's what yours truly wills to build now, right here as I'm doing this live stream, the forgotten goddess temple, G-O-D-D-S-S. That's my will to build, and anybody willingly loving to help support build the forgotten goddess temple, I created more than blah 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 blah. I created some good services and kisses and dancing and rock and roll and some feet washing massages, because construction workers, gotta salute, gotta LOV. Construction workers rock and roll on those cranes. And my brothers and sisters, I don't know, brothers and sisters, or bros, sis, bros, 50-50 like yours truly, androgynous. You gotta send some love to all the construction workers who build the highways, the aqueducts. It's civilization is a privilege, the buildings, the housing. So I got enormous respect for the construction workers, and we gotta give them a little bit of more money, more finances, more money than that Wall Street buy sell trade future options, as we move towards a security and service North American civilization centric complex and build the forgotten goddess temple. Goddess, many names, but goddess is present in the Bible in a way that it's hidden, but there's rituals and rites which are goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S centric, like I mentioned, the 42 journeys of the Israelites, ancient Israelites, which were mentioned there, right? The Pharaoh's daughter who takes Moses and who marries Solomon as well. It's only the goddess. And the Asenat who married Joseph. That was 3,500 years ago, right? And of course, the correlation of the celestial spheres and the tribes, the 12 tribes. So there's a mystical, universal component to the stories, of which are what the scribes put, and we now have the Bible, the commentaries thereof. But nonetheless, in Genesis chapter 50, it's mentioned that Jacob, Israel was embalmed for 40 days and then mourned for 70 days. There's a paradox, isn't it? Why would the ancient Egyptians mourn Israel for 70 days? Because this was a ritual connected to the ancient Egyptian spirituality and religion. That passage itself. Sometimes the answers are right there. And of course, since we found out more with archaeology, and decoding of the pyramid texts, the presence is right there. The presence is right there. The mysteries are there. The mysteries, of which I'm a piece of dust. I have no idea. I don't know. I love my BDSM switch. I'm an Aspie, and geopolitics, I predicted what's happening now, and I live for today with hope for tomorrow carpe diem, and I will to build the forgotten goddess temple, GeoDDSS, and the pyramid, house of the dragon, rainbow scarlet, and the rainbow people's palace for my fellow neurodivergent and LGBTQ plus community, and of course, the other one to be, of course, the pyramid, house of the dragon. So the 4 buildings which I will to build. So that's what we're going to be building with that, and that's what we're going to get on the doing for the love now as we heal, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and that's what we're going to get doing for the love, exercising, and fitness, and the dream, the dancing goddess, and the dragon kingdom to support the implementation of the Trinity. The king is absent, brothers and sisters. The king is absent. I'm going to be saying the king is absent, and my brothers and sisters, and I saw Mark Carney with some respect. Well, I'm gonna try to get that LOVE for Carney as well, some love, but pledge allegiance to the king. I gotta go. It's time for the republic. I pledge allegiance to the king. Which king? You pledged allegiance, Mark Carney, to the king of England and his heirs for prime minister. We still have that. Can you imagine? That gotta go. It's time for the republic. Pledge allegiance to the 44 plus million Canadians, and my brothers and sisters, Quebecers, my brothers and sisters in the coast to coast, ocean to ocean, for rehabilitation, for purpose, for justice, for love. Not to the King of England. I have no debts to the King of England. I don't owe nothing. I have no debts to the King of England. My brothers and sisters, farmers here, Canadians, farmers, workers, butchers, bakers, nurses, truckers, grocery store clerks, my brothers and sisters, natives, Elohim, all my brothers and sisters who live in this place we call Canada, which is time for the republic. Time for the republic. Time for the dream. The king is absent. The king is absent. Time for the Republican Canadian Police, and the Dragon Army Legion, and now time for a little bit of that French rock and roll. Bienvenue dans la grotte du dragon arc-en-ciel en vous encourageant à faire de l'entraînement physique. Votre artiste athlète, le dragon arc-en-ciel, vous encourage, vous envoie l'amour, prenez du soleil, je vois que le soleil est sorti, puis moi-même, je me mouche un peu, vous savez que c'est la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique, puis la spiritualité, bien sûr. C'est un petit spirituel aussi, parce que c'est le sabbat aujourd'hui, donc en état mystique. Puis bien sûr, je suis un guide spirituel universel, mais j'ai pas toutes les questions. Ma spiritualité est pas mal rock&roll, le soleil est mon pape, puis je fais l'entraînement physique, puis pas mal des chatouilles, des bisous, puis des câlins, puis du rock&roll avec ça, puis les remerciements, puis la gratitude, c'est pas mal ça, ma spiritualité, puis en allant à la montagne, le Mont-Royal, ma deuxième maison, c'est le Mont-Royal, le Belvédère Cognanac, puis bien sûr, je crois à des réincarnations, mais j'étais né des fois dans une autre vie aux États-Unis, j'étais né une couple de fois, 3 fois après 1776, puis ici au Québec, j'étais québécoise, mais avant que ça soit dans le terme de Québécois-Québécoise, c'était entre 1700 et 1744, fait que c'était au début, il n'y avait pas de... C'était la Nouvelle-France, c'était une autre... quand même, plus que 300 ans, là, fait que j'ai même rencontré Louis VII dans une autre vie, fait que je sais pas si vous avez des croyances des autres vies, des vies antérieures, des réincarnations, mais bon, aujourd'hui, je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, puis bien sûr, je fais une analyse en géopolitique que j'en fais au quotidien, je suis un analyste intéressé en géopolitique, puis je dois commencer avec la gratitude. Même si je vis un stress financier en ce moment, j'ai pas d'argent, je suis 10 000 $ en dette, mais j'ai payé mon loyer. paye ma facture d'électricité, puis j'ai du café, du thé, puis j'ai des patates. Patates pour faire de la cuisine. Je vais aller faire de la cuisine bientôt. Fait que ça va faire des remerciements aux fermiers, puis aux camionneurs, puis aux bouchers, puis ceux qui me l'ont vendu. Puis un sac qui m'a été donné en don pour la sécurité alimentaire, puis un autre sac que j'ai acheté moi-même en spécial, puis c'est tout du Québec. Des patates du Québec, du Canada. Donc ça va faire double plus votre dragon arc-en-ciel qui. J'ai Canada, là, demandez-moi pas quand j'ai eu ce tatouage de Canada, parce que je m'en souviens pas, tu sais. Puis bien sûr, avoir survécu la COVID, je célèbre. C'est une célébration. Cette vidéo, c'est vraiment une célébration pour moi-même. Tu sais. Je célèbre 5 ans depuis que j'ai survécu la COVID ici, dans cette grotte de dragon arc-en-ciel, dans cette chambre ici. J'ai eu la COVID en 2020, entre février 2020, puis bien sûr 2025. 2025, février, bien sûr, mars. Ben, c'est pas vraiment on est en 2025, mais c'était en 2020 que je l'ai eu. Fait que entre comme le 7 février et bien sûr la fin de mars 2020. Fait que ça fait 5 ans. Aujourd'hui, le 2025, le 29, on est le 29 mars, non, le 28, on est le 29 mars. On est le 29 mars, je célèbre 5. Pardon? Last time I went out, it was chilly, yeah. I said after. I didn't mention a specific time. What's the time now? What?
Sorry?
What's the time?
3:31.
3:31. Okay, at 4. At 4. At 4. On m'a demandé, mon ami m'a demandé à quelle heure qu'on va faire la cuisine. Les peluches, les patates de la belle province québécoise, je vous invite à l'épluche des patates, les travailleurs en construction d'Hydro-Québec. Merci pour les centrales, c'est pour ça que j'en ai. L'électricité, bougez vos fesses, ma tante, dans les 17 régions des provinces, jusqu'aux îles de la Madeleine. On m'a dit que j'ai un accent de la Gaspé. On fait penser à son père, je dis pas en grave. On est famille québécoise dans la danse, je vous invite, fais-moi pas du blablabla, juste des bisous, des chatouilles. Et c'est le rock&roll, hein. C'est ça mon intérêt obsessif. J'ai l'Asperger, j'ai l'autisme mouvement fonctionnel, puis je suis neurodivergent. C'est une petite minorité de moins de 1%, la moitié d'un pourcentage, c'est 0,44. 0,44 des citoyens qui vivent avec cette neurodivergence, puis notre cerveau est différent. Mais quand ça vient au rock'n'roll, je suis artiste, philosophe et analyste et théoricien en géopolitique indépendant, mais c'est mon intérêt spécial, là, le rock'n'roll, puis la géopolitique, puis l'entraînement physique. Mais l'entraînement physique, le sport que je préfère, c'est la danse, c'est la danse, c'est la danse. Le sport que je préfère, c'est la danse. Puis c'est des choses que moi j'envisage aujourd'hui, même si je vis un stress financier, mais je suis en dette. J'ai quand même de la misère. Tu sais, les Aspergers, nous, on a de la misère avec garder des emplois à long terme parce qu'il y a beaucoup de confusion, mais de malentendus. Ben des gens qui pensent que c'est une maladie mentale, puis ils font des associations avec la violence. Moi, j'aime pas du tout la violence. Là. Je suis hyper vigilant, je peux être intense, concentré, sportif, mais j'aime pas la violence. Mais je vais me défendre, inquiétez-vous pas, parce que j'ai vécu avec ben des cicatrices. J'ai été attaqué un couple de fois dans le métro de Montréal, puis j'ai tombé, le bras disloqué. Fait que je me suis entraîné depuis 2017, parce qu'avant ça, j'étais en dépression suicidaire, puis j'ai commencé à faire mon entraînement physique, puis j'ai créé mon propre système d'entraînement physique, qui est un peu scientifique, mais ça ne requiert aucun équipement en 2019. Puis, bien sûr, le retour à ce que je dis, c'est vivant avec la neurodivergence. C'est juste que c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est que notre cerveau est différent. Fait il faut toujours bâtir des ponts, puis laisser les autres savoir nos caractéristiques, parce que c'est pas des symptômes. Des symptômes, c'est plus pour une maladie, mais je vous donne un exemple. Même hier, je suis allé à la montagne, le Mont-Royal, ma deuxième maison, fait que je me suis approché des gens, ils m'ont demandé quelque chose, j'ai approché, puis j'ai failli me rapprocher à 2-3 pouces d'eux autres de leur visage, parce que nous, les aspis, tu sais, les choses du social, comme l'espace personnel, tu sais, laisser 2-3 pieds, là, laisser 2-3 pieds, 1 mètre, 2 mètres de la distance, mais les aspis, nous, c'est difficile. Fait que des fois, on se rapproche proche. On n'est pas conscient de notre cerveau. Il est fait différemment. Fait que ces choses-là de la société, quand parler, quand ne pas parler, la distance personnelle. Puis, j'ai dû travailler, faire l'effort. J'ai pris un pas, j'étais proche des autres. Après ça, j'ai pris un pas de recul. Fait que c'est du travail. C'est du travail. Mais c'est comme du travail pour ceux qui ne sont pas neurodivergents, qui sont neurotypiques. Puis avec les divergences, c'est toujours bâtir des ponts pour avoir l'harmonie, parce que je suis un individu en faisant partie du collectif du Québec, du Québécois canadien nord-américain, puis c'est sûr qu'on vit des temps difficiles avec les tarifs. C'est mieux que depuis 2018, moi-même, je fais appel à Donald Trump pour me combattre dans un combat de boxe sur la frontière des États-Unis, puis j'ai dit bien sûr qu'il faut dire non aux tarifs, puis il faut qu'on trouve une solution le plus tôt possible. Puis je pense que mon rêve, qui se manifeste bien sûr comme le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, puis l'implémentation de ma trinité théorie, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, puis la théorie de la fusion démocratique, c'est qu'est-ce qu'il y a de mieux pour qu'est-ce qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui en 2025 pour pouvoir faire face au problème de la géopolitique externe. Parce que moi-même, en étant un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, je reviens toujours à mon travail, puis dans la géopolitique, je prends beaucoup de fierté dans le travail que j'ai fait depuis plus que 7 ans, le travail que j'ai fait dans la géopolitique depuis plus que 7 ans, c'est j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment en 2019, en octobre-novembre, j'avais prévu qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale. Fait que j'avais prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe dans le monde d'une manière générale, parce que c'est ça que je fais au quotidien. Même aujourd'hui, je dis, ben, des fois, je suis tenté, puis je dis non, va faire ça en face, puis j'ouvre la télé, je fais des analyses en géopolitique, les nouvelles du Québec et du Canada, des États-Unis, puis d'ailleurs à l'extérieur, bien sûr, parce que c'est mondial. C'est des événements en géopolitique, ça se passe à tous les jours. Mais maintenant, les dernières 5 années, mais c'est sûr, c'est des événements qui ont bouleversé l'ordre qui a été établi depuis la fin de la guerre mondiale. Mais pas justement juste de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, oui, mais aussi de la fin de la guerre froide qui a pris fin fin décembre 1991, parce que la guerre froide, ça a duré plus que 44 ans. Entre mars 1947 et décembre 1991, entre mars 1947 mars 1947 et décembre 1991. Fait quasiment 45 ans. Quasiment 45 ans. Quasiment 45 ans. Imaginez-vous, là, c'est beaucoup, ça, 45 ans. Là. Ça a duré la guerre froide longtemps, puis là, on est rendu à avoir une possible guerre nucléaire, puis troisième guerre mondiale. Puis j'avais prévu que cette situation, qu'est-ce qui se passe depuis les 3 ans et demi, là, depuis la COVID, j'avais prévu qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale. Une conflagration internationale. En 2019, je l'avais prévu. Mais c'est sûr d'une manière générale. Puis pour vous faire fondamentalement un petit résumé, c'est que j'ai prévu que fondamentalement, à cause que bien des régions, des nations, pays, des organisations, des civilisations, puis bien sûr des pays, des États, puis des complexes de géopolitique n'ont pas été capables de résoudre leurs problèmes qui datent du 20e siècle. C'était ça fondamentalement. J'avais prévu qu'il y aura comme un retour de ces conflits dans le 21e siècle, parce que c'est ça qui arrive dans la plupart des conflits, ces civilisations, ces pays, ces entités politiques, comme en Europe par exemple, la crise de l'Ukraine puis la Russie. C'est un problème, une situation géopolitique qui n'a pas eu de résolution de la guerre froide du 20e siècle. En Israël puis la Palestine, le Moyen-Orient aussi. Ça date du 20e siècle. Potentiellement, sur l'horizon, la Chine, la République populaire de la Chine, qui est le grand pays civilisation de 1,4 milliard, puis le Taïwan, l'île de Taïwan, leur conflit, ça date du 20e siècle aussi. C'est qu'il n'y a pas eu de finalité, il n'y a pas eu de résolution pacifique, résolution finale. Fait que ces conflits-là, mais pas en Taïwan puis la Chine, mais quand même, ces dernières 5 années, puis on se demande pourquoi la Chine a augmenté, puis ont bâti par 25% plus d'armes nucléaires qu'ils n'ont pas bâti depuis 44 ans. Là. Les 5 dernières années, ils ont augmenté de comme 450, une estimation de bombes nucléaires avec des missiles intercontinentaux qui peuvent traverser quand même l'océan. Tu sais. C'est des missiles, des fusées intercontinentaux qu'on a bâtis durant la guerre froide, durant le 20e siècle, puis même récemment. Pourquoi ils ont augmenté leurs réserves nucléaires? Ils ont bâti plus d'armes nucléaires. Tu sais, ces 5 dernières années, depuis 2020 à maintenant, l'année passée, ça a eu des révisions qui sont montées à 650 d'environ 450. Fait que ça veut dire que c'est quasiment plus que 25% qui ont augmenté leur arsenal de bombes nucléaires. On se demande pourquoi, tu sais. Il y a quelque chose des enjeux, tu sais, puis ils ont investi massivement dans le militaire, puis là, il y a un réarmement. Mais moi, il faut savoir que mes protocoles, mes initiatives sont fondamentalement pour le Québec, le Canada, puis qu'est-ce que j'appelle le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Parce que fondamentalement, moi-même, je suis Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain. Personnellement, je ne me considère pas un membre d'une diaspora. Je souhaite la paix mondiale, puis qui font la résolution de leurs conflits, mais mes initiatives, protocoles sont pour ce que j'appelle en tant que philosophe le collectif de la civilisation nord-américaine ou la civilisation émergente du collectif nord-américain. Parce que les Québécois canadiens, ici, comme on a fait, qu'est-ce que j'appelle le grand compromis linguistique. Le grand compromis linguistique pour qu'on s'est rendu à avoir de la paix quand même. Pour avoir de la paix, c'est sûr que ça a donné sa table, ça a mis de ressources, du financement public-privé, ça a pris Céline Dion. Ça va prendre le dragon arc-en-ciel, ça a pris Céline Dion, ça va prendre le dragon arc-en-ciel, chanter à Donald Trump une chanson, puis faire de la traduction. En même temps, ça va prendre ça. Aussi, ça va prendre bâtir plus de centrales pour le faire. Parce que, bien sûr, c'est ça le compromis pour avoir la paix et l'harmonie dans le collectif nord-américain. Au Québec, on a fait le grand compromis du français. Puis avec nos frères et sœurs aux États-Unis, nos frères et sœurs noirs, incluant mes voisins, tu sais, 13,3, 13,4 de la population, c'est nos frères et sœurs noirs. Nos frères et sœurs noirs, c'est sûr que des fois, on a du racisme en dedans de nous. Puis peut-être moi aussi dans le subconscient des choses, bien sûr, que moi aussi, bien sûr, j'ai vécu la discrimination, étant Asperger's, étant androgyne, pansexuel, mais faisant partie de la communauté LGBTQ, divers, neurodivers, puis sexuellement, mais je suis pas à la recherche, là, mais juste des amis avec bénéfice, puis monsieur, madame, je suis androgyne, puis tout ça, mais avec nos frères et sœurs noirs, c'est 13,3, mes voisins incluants, tu sais, c'est quand même, on a fait des grands compromis, puis on continue à travailler sur le racisme, des fois, l'individu, mais des fois, tu sais, il faut le dire, puis je préfère faire du travail, faire du sport avec mes frères et sœurs noirs, puis donner des câlins, puis travailler, puis étendre un peu de justice, puis faire qu'on est un collectif émergent nouveau, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre, tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre dans ce nouveau monde, qu'est-ce qu'on constitue un collectif émergent nouveau qui n'est pas tout à fait divorcé. On n'est pas divorcé de l'Occident, mais on a des distinctions, les Québécois, les Canadiens, le collectif nord-américain, on a des distinctions. Puis je vais vous dire, ben, quand j'ai vu Mark Carney, j'ai rien personnellement comme M. Carney, notre premier ministre, mais il a prêté allégeance au roi Charles. Puis c'est descendant. Moi, je veux rien savoir de ça, sérieusement. Prêter allégeance aux Québécois puis aux Canadiens, les 44 millions de Canadiens à la place. Moi, c'est ça. S'il y aurait une invasion, je courrais pour avoir des armes pour vous défendre parce que je vous considère ma famille, mais seulement pour la défense parce que j'aime pas la violence, mais je vais jouer la défense comme au football américain, c'est sûr. S'il y a une invasion, vous pouvez compter sur moi, mais juste pour la défense. Parce que même si je suis un analyste théoricien en géopolitique indépendant, mes protocoles et initiatives sont fondamentalement pour le collectif nord-américain, puis c'est l'île de Montréal que je connais le plus. L'île de Montréal que je connais le plus. J'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire, j'ai déménagé ici, voilà. 7, 8, 9, peut-être mon ami a dit 10. Wow, c'est une, je sais pas. Peut-être, c'est possible. Fait que, je ne sais pas. Il y a tellement de choses que je ne sais pas moi-même. Je ne peux pas savoir tellement de choses que je ne peux pas savoir moi-même. Mais je sais que ma trinité de théorie, puis que j'ai prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment, parce que c'est ça que je fais au quotidien, l'analyse de la théorie en géopolitique. Je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique. Ben, c'est ça que je fais au quotidien. Je suis un artiste aussi. Puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre dans ce nouveau monde, dans le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, c'est toujours l'individu, puis le collectif. Des fois, on donne comme le français. On a dû faire bien des compromis, hein? Pour en faire bien des compromis, je veux dire, pour le français, pour qu'on soit ici sans avoir de guerre entre le Québec, le Canada et les États-Unis. Mais M. Carney, excusez-moi, pardon, mais le roi Charles, il est absent. Il n'y a pas de... Le roi Charles est absent. C'est le temps pour la République. Le roi est absent. C'est le temps pour la République. Le roi est absent. C'est le temps pour la République. Le roi est absent. C'est le temps pour la République. Puis même moi-même, en tant qu'individu, ben, j'ai des fautes. Je suis pas parfait. Mais juste me le dire, des fois, tu sais, j'ai perdu beaucoup d'emplois. Mais de l'emploi qui n'a pas duré longtemps. Ça a duré un couple de mois, de semaines. Puis, tu sais, les neurodivergents, malheureusement, il y a beaucoup de problèmes à l'embauche puis à l'emploi pour les Asperger's, les Aspi, parce que ben des gens, mais je sais pas, peut-être comme dans le livre que j'ai lu, que mon ami anonyme m'avait donné, que c'était un bon livre, c'était en anglais par exemple, qu'on apprécier l'Asperger, le syndrome de l'Asperger, apprécier le syndrome de l'Asperger, apprécier le syndrome de l'Asperger, parce qu'on a des forces, hein, mais dans le sens de la société, là, des choses, des communications, j'ai de la misère. J'ai de la misère dans certaines choses parce que notre cerveau il est différent. Fait que nous, on est super intense dans qu'est-ce qui sont nos intérêts spéciaux. Pour moi, c'est la géopolitique. l'entraînement physique, soit le sport puis l'entraînement physique que je préfère, c'est la danse, la danse, puis le rock&roll. Fait qu'au quotidien, je passe des heures juste à faire du travail dans ça. Travail indépendant, je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail indépendant en tant qu'analyste et théoricien en géopolitique. Puis j'ai créé une théorie pour la défense pour, bien sûr, c'est un paradoxe, pour répondre à la situation d'où on est rendu aujourd'hui. Plusieurs protocoles puis philosophies que j'avais prévues depuis 2017, puis bien sûr en octobre à novembre 2019, où j'avais constitué que j'avais déclaré qu'il y aura une guerre mondiale, une conflagration internationale dans les 7 prochaines années. Puis on dirait que c'est ça, ça commence. Puis pour dire bien sûr que dans ce travail, je prends beaucoup de fierté. Je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail en tant qu'analyste théoricien en géopolitique. Puis comme j'ai dit, puis je répète, même si personnellement, je n'aurais pas voté pour Trump, j'aimerais ça, tu sais, me battre un combat de boxe pour les Québécois et les Canadiens contre Trump sur la frontière Canada-États-Unis. Puis je veux qu'on bâtisse ensemble, Québécois et Québécoises, le Colisée du peuple impérial pour avoir du sport 24 sur 24, sportis in perpetuitis, pour avoir sportis in perpetuitis sur la frontière Canada-États-Unienne, pour bâtir ce méga complexe, 11 fois plus que Caesar Superdome de la Ligue de football nationale, puis bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée, le temple de la déesse oubliée. Moi, je suis un mystique, je crois à des réincarnations, puis je dis souvent déesse, tu sais, Dieu, déesse, Dieu, déesse, Dieu, déesse, Dieu, puis la déesse, tu sais. Puis je ne sais pas. Il y a tellement de choses que je ne sais pas moi-même. Tu sais, j'ai souffert, j'ai survécu la COVID, mais je suis quand même joyeux, jovial, j'aime savoir mettre le monde en couple. J'aime savoir le monde qui se donne des câlins, qui s'entraîne, qui font l'entraînement physique, mais avec l'Asperger, c'est sûr que j'ai perdu beaucoup d'amis. Je me suis fait beaucoup d'amis, surtout en parade gay, parade gay, quand je suis allé bien longtemps. Je fais partie de la communauté LGBTQ, j'ai changé les numéros, mais ça a été un peu difficile. Fait que maintenant, depuis aujourd'hui, 2025, le 29 mars, des amis avec bénéfice seulement, puis prêter allégeance famille. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. Puis l'agression, l'agressivité, là, faites de l'entraînement physique. Faites de l'entraînement physique. J'aime bien l'initiative de la vague d'épée que le gouvernement du Canada a faite, la vague d'épée. C'est mieux que ça soit un terrain de jeu, là. Notre métropole, Montréal, tu sais. C'est mieux que ça soit un terrain de jeu, la métropole, puis danser, puis s'aimer. Puis s'il y a de quoi, mais juste vous en parler. Puis moi, vous voulez faire l'amour? Noir, blanc, homme-femme, noir, blanc, homme-femme, noir, blanc, arc-en-ciel, homme-femme, Québécois, Québécoises, Canadiens, ou qui que vous soyez, vous voulez me faire l'amour, c'est la montagne, le Mont-Royal, mais je vous carte, hein. Je vous carte. Les cartes comme quand vous achetez du pot de cannabis légal, quand vous allez rentrer au club, quand vous allez boire de l'alcool, je veux voir vos cartes, faut vous sinon je vous envoie, oui. Tu sais, bon. Mais de retour à la géopolitique, j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant. Puis je ne peux pas trop en discuter, mais j'ai une théorie qu'il faut que ça soit implémenté par toutes nos forces de sécurité, incluant l'Armée du Canada. Ça s'appelle la théorie de la défense mobile totale. La théorie de la défense mobile totale. Ou la théorie mobile de la défense totale. Vous pouvez interchanger les mots, mais en général, la théorie de la défense mobile totale. Je ne peux pas trop en discuter parce que, bien sûr, c'est sensible à la sécurité nationale quand même, puis j'avais fait du travail avec le Centre de sécurité d'initiative, le CISIS, de sécurité canadienne, le CISIS qu'on appelle en anglais, c'est le Centre de services de sécurité interne, bien sûr comme la police secrète du Canada, puis ils font pour la sécurité nationale, puis tu travailles bien sûr. Dans une autre vie, j'avais servi un couple de mois, un couple d'années quand j'ai rencontré Louis Cyr dans la SPVM. J'avais servi dans la SPVM au début, là, en 1800 quelques. Pas beaucoup de temps, par exemple. Je suis retourné dans les fermes. J'ai dit non, c'est pas pour moi la police. C'est pas pour moi la police. Je m'en vais retourner dans le champ à Saint-Adrien. Ben, Saint-Adrien, il y en a deux, hein. C'est comme ça que je fais une blague des fois, mais j'envoie le monde pour se mettre en couple. Je lui dis, il faut que vous allez passer une semaine à Saint-Adrien. Fait que, parce que, puis là, ils disent, OK, je vais aller passer une semaine à Saint-Adrien, mais il y a un problème. Puis il n'y en a pas beaucoup qui le savent, mais il y a 2 villages au Québec qui s'appellent Saint-Adrien. Il y en a 2. Et il y a 2 villages avec le nom de Saint-Adrien. Fait que lequel vous allez aller? Je ne vais pas dire lequel. Vous allez passer une semaine, vous ne trouvez personne pour vous mettre en couple, et vous dites, ben là, il m'a dit des mauvaises choses. Je suis allé à Saint-Adrien, mais le niaiseux, lequel? Tu n'as pas demandé c'était lequel des Saint-Adrien? Il y en a 2 Saint-Adrien, au nord puis au sud, à l'est ou l'ouest. C'est quelque chose que... Comment un petit de rock'n'roll la comédie là, que je dis des fois aux gens, là, mais pour les mettre en couple, je vous envoie, ben c'est tout le monde, j'envoie assez Adrien, mais parce qu'il faut savoir, puis là, si quelqu'un connaît, jusqu'à maintenant, j'ai pas des personnes qui ont qui m'ont demandé, j'ai dit à plusieurs personnes depuis un couple d'années dans la COVID, là, quand je rencontre du monde, je dis, ouais, vous êtes pas en couple, mais j'aime ça mettre les gens en couple, puis je vous envoie à Saint-Adrien. Puis le problème, encore, c'est qu'il y a 2 villages au Québec qui s'appellent Saint-Adrien. Fait que il faut qu'ils demandent lequel. Fait que là, je dis, ben, tu sais, qu'il y en a 2 et Saint-Adrien, mais il y en a bien des gens qui ne savent pas qu'il y en a 2. Puis moi-même, ça fait longtemps que j'ai pas sorti de l'île de Montréal. Là. Ça fait avant la COVID, j'ai pas sorti de l'île de Montréal depuis février 2020. Février 2020 au moins. Février, même peut-être avant ça. Peut-être. Coudon, ça fait plus que 7 ans que j'ai pas sorti de l'île de Montréal. Au moins depuis février 2020. Ça fait que ça fait plus que 5 ans depuis que j'ai eu la COVID. Bon, en tout cas. Fait que je finis avec vous chanter un peu de rock'n'roll, puis that's all pour aujourd'hui. Je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, soutenez la théorie de l'implémentation, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, bien sûr, c'est une théorie qu'il faut faire l'implémentation ensemble avec les États-Unis, car on est rendu à une situation de financièrement où qu'on est rendu en point d'urgence puis de crise, moi-même en étant en dette de 10 000. C'est le temps pour qu'on fasse la création d'une unité commune d'échange avec les États-Unis. Le roi est absent, puis c'est mieux qu'on se dirige à nos forces pour la sécurité de côte à côte, les ports et les aéroports. Les ports et les aéroports. Les ports et les aéroports. Parce que pour la frontière, bien sûr, il faut qu'on fasse un grand recensement. Je fais appel à faire l'initiative de partenariat public-privé pour faire un grand recensement du Québec, du Canada. Puis bien sûr, un audit, qu'est-ce qu'on appelle un grand recensement du Québec et du Canada pour voir tous les citoyens qui sont arrivés depuis, mettons, février 2020 ou 2017, septembre 2017, peut-être plus que 5 ans ou plus que 7 ans, puis faire un recensement pour faire un passeport commun avec les États-Unis. C'est ça la meilleure affaire pour qu'on se dirige dans le futur. Pour le complexe de civilisation du collectif nord-américain, c'est mieux qu'on se dirige vers ce partenariat public-privé. Puis encore une fois, mes chers concitoyens, mais le roi est absent. Puis, à vrai dire, ben, comme M. Carney, rien de personnel contre M. Carney, mais pour prêter serment puis prêter allégeance au roi Charles. Le roi est absent. Il ne viendra pas, le roi Charles, défendre s'il y a une invasion. Ça va être des gens citoyens comme moi qui vont aller vous défendre de côte à côte, de l'océan à l'autre, Pacifique à l'Atlantique, Pacifique à l'Atlantique, de l'Atlantique au Pacifique et vice-versa. Ça va pas être le roi Charles qui est absent. T'sais. Je trouve que ça, il faut qu'on change ça. Il faut que c'est le temps pour la République, c'est le temps que peut-être allégeance au peuple, aux citoyens, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre. Puis bien sûr, ceux qui ne sont pas encore des citoyens, le mieux qu'on fasse possible pour qu'on les accueille, qu'ils nous rejoignent dans cette nouvelle famille, ce nouveau complexe de civilisation dont on fait partie, les Québécois et les Canadiens, on fait partie, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre, on constitue un complexe de civilisation avec nos frères et sœurs des États-Unis, puis c'est mieux qu'on se fusionne. C'est mieux qu'on se fusionne d'une manière à un partenariat public, puis quelque chose de semblable à la communauté européenne, mais nord-américain, parce qu'on est un collectif de civilisation émergent, on n'est pas tout à fait divorcé de l'Occident, mais on a des distinctions avec l'Occident. Fait que ces distinctions avec l'Occident, ça fait qu'on on a un destin commun pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, puis bien sûr, c'est ça que faut qu'on fasse de l'avance. Puis mon rêve, le partenariat public-privé, c'est fondamentalement mon rêve est un appel à un partenariat public-privé pour faire l'implémentation de la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, puis la théorie de l'implémentation, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie de la fusion démocratique, pour faire les deux institutions, faire la création de deux institutions pour le 21e siècle, que ça soit seulement pour la sécurité et le service, sécurité puis service puis défense, sécurité puis service puis défense, puis faire la mobilisation d'1% des citoyens du Québec puis du Canada puis des États-Unis ensemble, une institution pour la québécoises, canadiennes, puis états-uniennes ensemble, de partenariat public-privé pour financer les gens l'entraînement physique, faire du tourisme intra pour la santé et le bien-être, puis s'établir pour la défense, la sécurité et le service, seulement pour la service, la sécurité et la défense, l'armée du dragon, prêter allégeance légion, vous êtes famille, parallèlement avec le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, l'armée de la déesse qui danse, soit la ligue de danse de l'Amérique du Nord, soit la Ligue de danse intégrée de l'Amérique du Nord, pour la Ligue de danse de l'Amérique du Nord, pour que ça soit, et bien sûr, pour l'environnement, pour danser pour le plaisir. J'adore danser, la danse est mon sport préféré, puis pour faire du nettoyage, planter plus d'arbres, faire de la plantation des arbres, faire du nettoyage de l'environnement, puis faire de l'éducation au point de vue de la... Point de vue de la... Du point de vue de la nature. L'environnement, bien sûr, planter des arbres, faire du nettoyage, puis faire de la danse pour le plaisir aussi, pour le plaisir. Puis c'est important le plaisir aussi, bien sûr, parce que le corps c'est important, c'est quelque chose de santé. Puis je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique. Puis l'agression, faites des pompes de l'entraînement physique. Faites des pompes de l'entraînement physique. Moi, j'aime pas la violence, je suis hyper vigilant quand même parce que j'ai plein de cicatrices sur moi-même, sur mon visage, sur mon corps, sur les parties privées un peu. De temps en temps, fusée clito-pénis, pénis-clito, clito 50-50, monsieur, madame, mais bon, je vis avec, il n'y a pas de problème. Consentement, vous devez être adulte, puis pour venir me faire l'amour, il n'y a pas de problème. J'aime ça le sadomasochisme moi-même, c'est... pas besoin de m'espionner le service secret de la Russie, le service secret de la Chine, c'est mieux que vous ne traversez pas l'océan, le service secret de la Russie qui ne traverse pas l'Atlantique, puis le service secret de la Chine ne traversez pas le Pacifique pour venir m'espionner, s'il vous plaît, parce que corps, pas besoin. Pas besoin. Merci, bonjour, puis côte à côte pour la défense, la sécurité et le service. On va rebâtir plus de centrales Hydro-Québec, bâtir plus de centrales Hydro-Québec. On va faire l'implémentation de ma théorie de la refusion de la dette. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif de l'Américain, les aqueducs, les ponts. On va rebâtir la construction des ghettos du Québec, du Canada et des États-Unis, parce qu'on a bien des places aussi à Montréal qu'il faut y rebâtir, puis faire la peinture dans les parcs publics. On va embellir, mettre de la couleur, puis on va s'intégrer avec les États-Unis. On va participer au dôme de l'or pour la défense des missiles intercontinentaux. Fait qu'on va faire beaucoup de cet effort de physique dans ce moment qu'on va faire. Fait que je vais finir avec du rock-and-roll bilingue pour ce sabbat. Je vais finir avec du rock-and-roll bilingue. Let's go, rock-and-roll! We know it how we go. Let's shake that booty with a kisses for the farmers that you know I gotta rock and roll it. Vous savez que je fais du rock and roll en bilingue comme Céline. C'est plein, c'est côte, ça danse, ça bouge les montagnes québécois et québécoises. Vous parlez pas d'amour, je deviens sourd. Sourd, ça mûre, ça bouge les fesses. Pas besoin de violence, faire des pompes. Ah ouais, à l'entraînement physique, plongez pas dans la rivière Saint-Laurent, la métropole. Let's go, you know we gotta rock and roll. I'm an ass so you know I can go and sing a floor. Shake that booty, that galore. Shake that booty, that galore. Shake that booty, that galore. Freestyle as you go, on and knocking on the door. Ain't got money for the guitar, no for the studio. J'ai pas d'argent pour une guitare, pas d'argent pour une guitare, pas d'argent de cigare. Je fume pas la cigarette, ben me mettre ça danse ma tante. Aux îles de la Madeleine, viens à ma défense et lâchez les hyènes de divergence. Ma tante vient à mon secours, puis elle est poussée, elle dit lâchez-les tranquilles. Hyène de divergent, il comprend pas, sauf le rock'n'roll, la géopolitique que ça danse. Ben tranquille, je m'excuse, pardon si je me gratte. Avec consentement, faites de l'amour. En privé, ben, je vous juge pas. Des actions décentes, ça descente. C'est plein de sa montagne, ça danse, les jours, ça roule, ça fait des bisous. Puis des chatouilles, comme dire, hey, let's go, they got that rock and roll, you know it, for the butchers and the bakers, gotta sing it for the flavor. Gotta sing it black and white and rainbow for the Frenchers, as you know, for the French up in the Gulf, for the Quebec. We put that Florida list up in the studio, put the stars and the stripes, cause we got our brothers and the sisters in the USA. Invite us with some good loving and some good rock and roll. Now we're bullying in the tariffs. Cook some pies. 50 pies up in the States, 50 pies up in the lakes. That you know are frozen baked. Bake some cookies, do some marching bands, dance. That you know that's in a trance. That you know we frozen lands. Let's go, ça danse. Ensemble, puis ça fasse un bisou comme la montagne. Des cerises, ça tombe. Ensemble, aïe, aïe, aïe. Prêtez allégeance les gens, le dragon qui danse en arc-en-ciel du ciel. De la pour la renaissance, d'après la COVID, ensemble, Québécois et Québécoises, on va pouvoir bouger les montagnes. Je viens pas sur la rue que je vous chatouille. Yeah, man. That's all it is, eh, with me. Rock and roll 24/7. C'est du rock and roll 24/24, mes chers, mais 24/7 Aspie. But please, everything I did is freestyle. Hein? C'est en mode libre, tout ce que je viens de chanter. Ça, c'est pas... J'en ai des écrites, là, mais j'en fais en mode libre. Fait prenez compte que financièrement, je suis stressé. Là. I'm living a financial stress, so please give credit Send some business, otherwise you gotta get goddess thunder out of the sky, blah, you gotta get that thunder from the raw sun du soleil, mais tenez compte que, tu sais, j'étais en crise financièrement, j'étais en dette, puis bien sûr pour me soutenir en tant qu'artiste. Keep in mind that I'm a financially struggling artist, philosopher with Asperger's, and keep in mind that the rock and roll with freestyle c'était en mode libre, donc les paroles et tout ça, ben juste donner crédit, puis si vous voulez les utiliser, genre faites un don, du vin, du jambon, make a gift, like give some beef, some wine and some wafers, you know, make some of that good loving with charity. If you want to use the lyrics, you know, whatever. Because I know I'm freestyling and I'm live streaming, so it's like kind of I'm an artist, but copyright, I don't have the money for fancy lawyers and pas d'argent pour des avocats, puis pas d'argent. Ben, merci à mon avocat anonyme, pro bono lawyer. Thank you, LOV. Hope you get some pleasure. Anonyme, no names. Le plaisir anonyme. J'espère que tu as eu beaucoup de plaisir. Puis yeah, let's go. Il faut que j'y chante aussi. I gotta sing some version for pro bono, you know, as I got that pro bono. But anyways, let's go for the left. Let's go for the left. Let's go for the right. We got kisses on the hug and got kisses for the hug and got kisses for the loving. Got kisses for the do. Got kisses for the you. Got kisses for the black and white and rainbow. Got kisses as you know. Got kisses on the floor. Got kisses for the do. Got kisses for the you. Got kisses for the butchers and the bakers. Hey, let's go. Give me some push-ups. Donnez-moi des pompes. Ah ouais, l'entraînement. Que ce soit physique. Et la danse. Les mains dans les airs. Le soleil et les étoiles. Bisous, ça danse. Ça donne. Ça c'est ce qu'on a. Madame, messieurs. Messieurs, madame, la prêtresse. Anne, que je vous danse de la déesse, que je vous donne des bisous. Même pour ceux qui sont. I gotta give you some kisses for the goddess. I'm the priestess of the goddess, la prêtresse de la déesse. Let's go. Double trouble, double trouble. Faisons ensemble. Le troisième, bon cop, bad cop, third. Bon cop, bad cop, let's do that third. Bon cop, bad cop, let's do that third. Bon cop, bad cop, let's do the third. On fait le troisième ensemble, puis je chante du rock'n'roll dans le film, puis je danse. Hey, troisième, bon cop, bad cop. That's how we gotta do it now with tariffs. C'est comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse, pas avec des tariffs.